Life is an astonishingly brief thing. A single breath held between two silences. We arrive loud and leave quiet. And the distance between those two moments is always shorter than we believe. What follows is a walk through the names Kenya was asked to say goodbye to over the course of 12 ordinary months in 2025. The year began the way most years do, with resolutions and matatu horns and politicians already positioning for the next cycle. But February is where Kenya first felt the ground shift. On the 7th of that month, veteran broadcaster Leonard Mambo Mbotela passed away at the age of 85 after complications from pneumonia. For a generation raised on KBC, his voice had been the reassuring hand on the shoulder every Sunday afternoon, and his iconic show, Je Hu Nyungwana, had quietly taught a whole country how to carry itself. When that voice fell silent, something in the national frequency shifted. The political corridors felt the chill next. On February 16th, Baringo Senator William Cheptumo died at Nairobi Hospital after a short illness. Remembered by President Ruto as a progressive and hard-working servant who had spent more than a decade shepherding development in Baringo. The very next day, tragedy doubled down. Malava MP Moses Malulu Injendi died at Aga Khan University Hospital after weeks in the ICU, just a day after his own elder brother had been buried. A single family asked to carry two coffins in one breath. And before the month could exhale, the man who had called two of Kenya's most contested elections took his own final bow. Former IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati died on February 20th at 63. An autopsy later revealing a cancerous brain tumor had been quietly writing the last chapter of his story. March brought a softer but no less painful loss. Former KTN news anchor and CGTN reporter Nick Mudimba collapsed at his Syokimau home on March 23rd, shortly after watching a Harambee Stars match. He had been the calm, measured presence Kenyans trusted to walk them through the country's sporting highs and lows. His sudden exit reminded everyone how fragile even the steady voices can be. Then April broke something in the nation entirely. On April 15th, Kasipul Kabondo MP Charles Ongondo Were was shot near City Mortuary as he headed home. Ambushed by a motorcycle-riding assailant, believed to have trailed his vehicle from Parliament, he was struck 5 times and pronounced dead at Nairobi Hospital. A 3-term MP, a father, a husband, gone in the time it takes a traffic light to change. A week later, City Hall felt the loss of one of its loudest reformers. Kariobangi North MCA Joel Munuve, the man who had dared to lead an impeachment petition against Governor Sakaja, died on April 22nd while receiving treatment at a Kiambu hospital. By mid-year, the grief had begun learning the geography of the whole republic, and then, in late May, it crossed an ocean. On May 28th, one of Africa's literary titans took his final breath. Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the 87-year-old author, essayist, and tireless champion of African languages, died leaving behind a bookshelf that had for decades held up the roof of the continent's imagination. From Weep Not Child to Decolonizing the Mind, he had taught generations of Kenyans that their mother tongues were not something to shrink from, but something to write the future in. His death was not just Kenya's loss. It was a lowering of flags across every African literature department in the world. June arrived and brought with it a different kind of grief, one sharpened by outrage. Blogger and outspoken digital voice Albert Ojwang died that month in circumstances that sparked nationwide protests and difficult questions about the safety of those who speak truth online. Around the same time, the country was also collectively gutted by the tragic death of a little girl named Amanda Mutheu, a loss so young, so undeserved, that even strangers mourned as though she had been their own. July belonged to laughter, and then to silence. On July 15th, Zakaria Kariuki, known to millions as KK Mwenyewe, died after a short illness. The Kisii University computer science student whose impersonations of Rigathi Gachagua had turned him into one of the country's most recognizable social media stars. 2 days later, on July 17th, another kind of legend breathed her last half a world away. Former Karachuonyo MP Phoebe Asio died in North Carolina, a trailblazer whose fight for the two-thirds gender rule was eventually etched into the 2010 Constitution. Elected in 1982, when women's voices were rare in Parliament, she had spent a lifetime building a door wide enough for daughters to walk through. August then opened with a brutal 1-2 punch that no one saw coming. On the very first day of the month, the reggae nation lost its loudest heartbeat. John Maina, known to a generation simply as MC Full Stop, died on August 1st after a long and difficult battle with tuberculosis. He had begun his journey in the early 1990s at just 14 years old, and by the 2000s, his iconic chant of "Dheka, dheka, dheka" had become an anthem across the country's dance floors. In 2021, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis of the lungs, which later led to the complete collapse of his left lung. And in 2022, TB of the throat claimed the very voice that had made him famous. Yet he refused to go quietly. He made a courageous return to the airwaves in June 2023 and continued performing until his final K24 show on Saturday, July 26, 2025, less than a week before the curtain fell. And the country had not yet dried its tears when another beloved voice fell silent on that same cruel Friday. On the night of August 1st, automotive journalist and television personality Trevor Lamenya, known to every Kenyan petrolhead as Big Boy Trev, died after a short illness. He was 40 years old. As host of Cars with Big Boy Trev on NTV and formerly on KTN, his engaging reviews and signature charm had turned complex auto jargon into stories that stretch from matatu drivers to CEOs. A Daystar University alumnus, he had served as editor-in-chief at Cullinan Media and PR Limited, and TV47 anchor Betty Kialo, a friend since their Daystar days, remembered crisscrossing Africa with him, test-driving prototypes, crediting him with igniting her own love for cars. A whole generation of Kenyan automotive content creators would later say plainly that he was the man who opened the door they walked through. And even August wasn't finished. On August 24th, former Laikipia North MP Matthew Lempukel died following a hit-and-run accident in Ongata Rongai. An activist for the Maa community, a champion of land rights, struck down on a road he had traveled 1,000 times. September opened with another quiet but heavy exit. Former Minister and Rongo MP Dalmas Otieno died on September 7th from complications related to diabetes. Somewhere in Kerala, India, a man already fighting his own illness sent his brother to read the eulogy at Otieno's funeral. Nobody yet knew that the eulogizer was himself preparing to be eulogized. September also brought the shocking killing of prominent lawyer Chalo Mbobu, shot dead in a murder that reopened old anxieties about the safety of Kenya's legal community. Then in October, Gengeton lost one of its own when Shalkido, the young artist whose beats had animated countless Nairobi nights, died in a motorcycle accident. A reminder that the country's rising stars are often one bend in the road away from silence. And then came October 15th, the day Kenya stopped breathing. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, 80, suffered a cardiac arrest during a morning walk in Kerala, India, and was pronounced dead at the Devamatha Hospital. 5 presidential bids, 4 decades in the trenches, one voice that had roared multi-party democracy into existence and argued a new constitution into being. President William Ruto declared 7 days of national mourning and eulogized him as the father of our democracy and a giant of Kenyan politics. The Kenya Airways aircraft dispatched to retrieve his body, codenamed RAO-001, became the most tracked plane in the country's history. On October 19th, he was laid to rest at Kango Kajaramogi, though even now Kenyans still travel to his tomb as though expecting him to rise and speak. When the flag came down from half-mast, something in the national chest refused to come down with it. November brought more farewells. Isiolo South MP Tibu Dibu Mohammed passed away after illness, leaving his constituents to mourn a leader who had represented them through some of the region's most fragile seasons. And on November 10th, gospel music lost one of its clearest voices. Betty Bayo, famed for her hit 11th Hour, died after a battle with leukemia. her final song sung not from a stage, but from a hospital bed. December then delivered its own cruelties. On the 4th of the month, the curtain fell on one of Kenya's most beloved screen faces. Celebrated actor and director Bilal Wanjau died while receiving treatment at Kenyatta National Hospital after a week of battling pneumonia and a persistent leg wound on top of his type 2 diabetes. For a whole generation, his name was inseparable from Citizen TV's Tahidi High, where his sharp wit and commanding screen presence had turned him into a household name. His career spanned more than a decade, from Jela 5-star and Njoro wa Uba to Showmax's Foreplay, and in 2017, he won the Kalasha Award for Best Performance. The son of Ibrahim Surf Bilali, the retired flyweight who brought home bronze from the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics, Bilal carried a family legacy of fight in him, and he fought until the end. On December 5th, he was laid to rest in Machakos in a ceremony that followed full Islamic funeral rites, his body wrapped in a white shroud and carried through dusty streets by mourners chanting dirges. Just over a week later, another veteran fell. On December 13th, former Lugari MP Cyrus Jirongo died in a head-on collision along the Nairobi to Nakuru highway. A political survivor since the Moi era, finally outrun by fate. And 4 days after that, Supreme Court Judge Ibrahim Mohammed died on December 17th at Aga Khan Hospital after a long illness, buried the following day at Kariokor Muslim Cemetery in keeping with Islamic rites. A lawyer and a historian, a senator and a satirist, a broadcaster and a hype man, a novelist, a blogger, an actor, a car journalist, a gospel singer, a gengeton star, an elder statesman, a street corner legend, and a little girl named Amanda. Each of them in their own time had been somebody's reason to turn on the television, somebody's reason to vote, somebody's reason to laugh, somebody's reason to come home. Life is brief. That is the oldest truth there is, and also the one we understand the least. All we can do in the end is carry the names forward gently and speak them out loud when speaking hurts.